Today, we are helping a bookseller keep track of their inventory, limiting the number of instances of elements in an array, and then we are going Tortoise Racing. Hello world, and this is versus Codewars. Now, before we begin, there is something I failed to mention in my first 3 videos that I would like to mention here. If you ever want to try the katas featured in Versus Codewars, you can find the links to these katas in the description box below. In the interest of academic honesty, I strongly advise you try the katas first if you intend to, before watching the video. Thank you. Now let's begin. Here, we are helping out a bookseller. The first array shown here contains strings which represent the bookseller's inventory. The first part of the string is a sequence of capital letters which represents the book's code. The first letter in that sequence represents the book's category. The number after the space in the string represents how many of that book the bookseller has in their inventory. The second array contains a sequence of capital letters, and our goal here is to find out how many books of that category the bookseller has in their inventory. Alright, let's go ahead and figure this out here. Alright. I think what we do here is... Alright, let's see what they expect us to return here. Well, you have to return the string. Alright, I wonder what's expected here in JavaScript. It looks like it expects a string here in JavaScript as well, formatted like this. So let's go ahead and give this a try here. First, we'll go ahead and iterate over the bookseller's books. I think we'll go ahead and keep the results in an array. We'll iterate over the list of books. Const book code of list of art. Let's console.log that and see what that looks like here. Feed that in the node. And what we want to do, we want to take the first letter of each of those book codes and probably check to see if that letter is included in the array that we passed in. If first, let's go ahead and console.log that first character here, see what that looks like. List of art. Oh, console.log, excuse me. List of arts at 0. Whoops, not that. Huh. And as you can see, we get the first letter of each of our codes right here. So what we'll go ahead and try to do here is, if list of cat dot includes book code at 0. I'm going to go ahead and console.log that just to make sure it works. And sure enough, it does. And then if that category does not exist in our results array, we'll go ahead and push that in. Results. Alright, I have another idea. We're actually going to put this in as like an object here. If results dot no Oh, okay. Well, actually, we'll do here, we'll include this in an object. If results dot book code at 0 is undefined, what we'll do here, results at book code at 0 equals 1. Otherwise, results book code at 0 plus plus. Let's go ahead and console log what results of that here. Console.log results. Feed that in a node. Alright, we now have to factor for how many of that book exists. Okay. What we'll do here is first we'll go ahead and console.log book code dot sub str book code dot index of our space. Plus 1 maybe. We might actually not need that. Let's see what happens if we did. First, let's store that book count in a string. Counts to book count equals book code sub str book code index of the space. Console.log book count. Yes, okay. Parse int book count. And as you can see, it's printing out our book counts as numbers now. So what we can go ahead and do here is, instead of 1, we'll just put in book count, and instead of plus plus, we'll do plus equals book count. Alright, see what that looks like, and note it's still printing. I made that same mistake again. Parse int book count. And we have A 200 and B 1140, consistent with what our result has to look like here. So it's just a matter of getting this formatted into this string right here. I think we'll do that by doing this. Return results.map. Okay, I have another idea. Const result string. We'll store the result in a string here. For const book in. For const result book in results. Or maybe just const result in results. We're going to console log each of our results here. And as you can see, it gives us the key in each of the members of our object here. So what we can go ahead and do here is result string equals, or rather result string array or I have an even better idea. What about I use object.keys results, and we can just map that to console.log to see what that looks like in the console. We have our A, we have our keys, we have our indices, and we have our array. What we can go ahead and do here is pass in a predicate function, passing in key, and we can return a template literal. Key colon results key. What we can go ahead and do is return that, run the resulting array through join with a space dash space. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. We have our A 200 and our B 1140 consistent with our result here. Let's go ahead. I think we are good with this. Let's try another one of the tests here and see if this will still work just fine. Pass in this array right here. Okay, we need to account for any of the capital letters in our categories array that don't have any books in the inventory. And I think we'll do that by doing this. Const results list of cat.map category, and we'll return an object here. Cat console.log and see what that looks like. Wait. No, not like that. Okay, we need to find some way to put the categories into keys in an object. Alright, I have another idea. How about we move this if clause into the top of our for loop here. This should work. Let's try it. Alright, we have an error. Book count is not defined. Really? Yep. I'm putting 0 here. Oh, okay. I have a new idea. If for const book cat of list of cats. Move this out of that loop and put it in its own loop here. That way we can define our object here. And instead of list of cat here, we can do object.keys results. And I think we've got that just about right here. Let's go ahead and feed this into Codewars and try to submit it. And we've got a problem. Alright, we'll go ahead and keep track of the total here. Let total equals 0. Total plus equals parse int book count. And then if total is 0, just return a blank string. Spell that right too. Alright, let's feed this new result into Codewars here. And try to submit it. And we are good. If you are ever working with objects in JavaScript, take advantage of the .keys and .values methods. The .keys method takes the keys in the JavaScript object and extracts them out into its own array. The same can be done for the object's values as well with the .values method. Given an array and a positive integer, our goal here is to create a new array that contains each number of the array passed in at most n times without reordering. Let's go ahead and give this a try here. First, we'll go ahead and use an object to keep track of each occurrence of the numbers in the array. Const occurrences equals an empty array. We'll go ahead and iterate through each number of our array here for const element of array if occurrences occurrences element is not defined. We'll go ahead and do this. Occurrences element equals 1. And we'll go ahead and do an else occurrences element plus plus. Let's just go ahead and print that out here and see what that looks like. Console.log occurrences. Feed that in a node. And we are not getting anything. Why is that? Because we are calling our function incorrectly here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. And as you can see, it prints our object of how many times each of the elements in our array occur. Now, what we'll do here is we probably want to do this within the for loop here. We'll probably want to create a new array as well. And if occurrences element is less than or equal to n, we'll go ahead and push this element into our result array. And then we'll go ahead and return our result. Punch that into nodes, see what that looks like. It's an empty array because we did not pass the number of occurrences we want in. We can probably go ahead and pass in 2 then. That ain't right either. Let's go ahead and console.log that. Completely discounting the fact that we have a 4 in here. Yep, now I know why. If we get it just right, we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These 3 members of the array are omitted because they are the third occurrence of these numbers in the array, and then we have our 4. Let's go ahead and punch this into Codewars. Get rid of the console log here and try to submit it. And we are good. What you saw me do in this kata was use an object cache to track the number of instances of elements in an array, and then check each element of that array against the number of instances already occurred to check to see if I can include that element in the results array that I return at the end of the function. What I could have done better here was use the filter method in the array object to check each element against the number of occurrences and filter out each element which exceeds the number of occurrences allowed, which was the second argument in the kata function. Given 3 integers greater than 0, the first 2 being the speed of 2 units, assuming the speed of the second unit is greater than the speed of the first unit, and the third integer being the lead currently enjoyed by the first unit, how long will it take for Unit B to eliminate the lead by Unit A? The result must be returned in an array featuring the hours, minutes, and seconds. So let's go ahead and give this a try here. As you can see in this function call, Unit A is moving at 720 units per hour. Unit B is moving at 850 units per hour. And Unit A has a 70 unit lead. Alright, what we'll go ahead and do here is, I think, first we'll go ahead and console.log here and see how quickly they're moving per minute and per second. A speed divided by 60, A speed divided by 60 divided by 60. Read that in a node here. They're probably moving at 12 units per minute and 0.2 units per second. Okay, let's go ahead and maybe keep track of how much ground each unit has covered. And let A covered equals 0, B covered equals 0. Let A lead remaining equals 0 a lead, and maybe let time in seconds equals 0. Alright, let's go ahead and keep track of their speed in seconds here. Const a speed per second equals a speed divided by 3600, because there's 3600 seconds in an hour. B speed per second equals B speed divided by 3600. And while a lead remaining is greater than 0, we'll go ahead and... Oh, wait a minute. I really don't need to keep track of that here. That A covered equals A lead, and B covered equals 0. Let's go ahead and increment those by the speeds per second. A covered plus equals A speed per second. B covered plus equals B speed per second. And we'll do that as long as A covered is greater than B covered. And then I'll go ahead and increment the time in seconds. And at the end, we'll just go ahead and console log that, see what that looks like. Time in seconds. Feed that in the node. And we'll see that B catches A in 1,939 seconds. Let's go ahead and return that in the array here. Return we need to parse out our hours and minutes here. Let's see what that looks like here. I'm going to run node for a second here. I'm going to type in 1939. Divvy that up into minutes. So about a little more than a half hour then. 1939 divided by 3600 modulo 3600. So yeah, so it's definitely less than an hour here. Whoops. Don't want to do that. About 32 minutes here. And 1939 modulo 60. About 32 minutes and 19 seconds. And 1939 divided by 3600. $1939 maybe time in seconds divided by 3600. Math.floor that to get our hours. Math.floor time in seconds modulo divided by 60 to get our minutes, and then time in seconds modulo 60 to get our remaining seconds. Let's see what that looks like here. Yep, 32 minutes and 19 seconds for B to completely catch up to A. Let's feed this into some of our tests here. 0, 32, 18. Oh, wrong values here. This expects 0, 32, 18. Maybe, maybe only increment time in seconds if A covered is still greater than B covered. Let's punch in those original values here again. 720, 850, and 70. Yep, 0, 32, 18. Let's punch in those other two values here just to test that out here. 80, 91, and 37. That is definitely not, something here is definitely not right. Pretty sure that's not supposed to say 201. Why are we saying that here? Let's go ahead and clear that here. Console.log time in seconds. That's looking about right. All right, let's go ahead and return that. And before I feel confident enough to submit this to Codewars, let's go ahead and run this third test here in our editor. We'll pass in for the A speed 80, the B speed 100, and the A lead 40. I expect to see 200. Is that what I see here? Yes, it is. So let's go ahead and submit this to Codewars and see how it treats this solution. Let's try to submit it. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot an important instruction up here. And that instruction here is if at A speed is greater than B speed, we need to return null. Alright, let's try that again here. I've got a problem again here. Test 2 expected. Maybe it's expecting greater than or equal to. Yes, it was, and we are good. I love finding better ways to do things. Displacement, velocity, and time. What I could have done is to take the lead enjoyed by A and divide it by the difference between the velocities of units B and A to get the time I would have needed in hours. All the measurements I needed were in feet per hour. And that will do it for this episode of Versus Codewars. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. As always, if there's anything I can do to improve on my code, feel free to suggest something in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode of Versus Codewars.